out here, and today pretty much we'll be tackling handlebars on this 2021 Road Glide. So I'm gonna swap these things out for some factory 47 ones. This is what the dude wanted, and black 14-inch. So yeah, pretty much we'll walk through on how it's done. And yeah, man, it's pretty much it. So we'll get straight into it. All right, so take the ignition off. What you don't want to do is pretty much turn this to like the accessory position and kind of be able to press down. So put this in, turn it, push down, turn it a little past lock or unlock, I'm sorry, and then bam, it should come right out. Your spring and everything else. And if possible, get you a gems tool for your ignition, just in case this misaligns, and any of you who've taken these off kind of know misaligns, you can't get the ignition to turn on and it's just off. So get this towards tank, obviously, turn it in, and then bam. So even without the ignition, you can pretty much turn it on just like this. So yeah, so have that on there, but prior to putting that on, we're gonna go ahead and take these screws off right here. I hold this in place, and they're never on there really too hard, so you literally just press a wrench or something, but I'll just use this for right now. Slightly, you see I barely did it, and yeah, it should lift right out, bam, just like that. And they go in pretty much the same way they come out, so no real way to fuck that up because it doesn't go in that way, but yeah. So goes off. And then there's two screws on each side, so they're like T27s, I believe. You just want to break those loose too, so we'll go ahead and do that right now. If I could find my damn T27. Or T20, I apologize. Just breaking things loose. One, and it'll just be two. Probably can't see it. I'll get it off anyway. All right. Keep my screws here. Gotta make sure you don't lose those things too, because sons of bitches are small. So, and then yeah, just pull up. Back should have some connections. Let me get a better angle for that. All right, so we got these connections in the back. Kind of want to just pop them off. Same thing with this. That one, and bam. Oh shit, let me zoom out. Alright, so these are pretty much dummies on this model, but this one's your one you should concern yourself with. It's these three plugs right here, so you'll have. So you have this one for your speedo, RPM, what have you. And these are pretty much just for the dummy. And if you have a kind of like a better model, not like base, these will be for whatever accessories accommodate these slots right here. So yeah. And you don't want to start disconnecting plugs for your switch housings, for your switches, whatever you want to call it. just remember what goes where. It's pretty easy to do. And there we go. So that's left and right. Bam, just like that. All right, so put this in here, make sure it stays aligned. And next I'll pretty much break loose this clutch cable bracket and zip tie this to the crash bar as well as the brake side. Just make sure it's not kinked or banging up against anything or what have you. And then I will also be breaking loose the 4 bolts for the handlebar clamp. And these ones are indeed, I think, 1/4 inch Allen. Yeah, so 1/4 inch Allen for these 4 and then a T27 for this. And yeah. All right, so next step is pretty much removing the switch housing and pulling the wires through and installing them on those. So this one is a T25, so I'll go ahead and remove that, pull them through, and yeah, go from there. All right, so since we got those pulled through, we're gonna go ahead and install them on a new one. And yeah, we got some extended cables that he wanted to just to be on the safe side. So these are for 14 to 18, and it's from Namz. Here's the part number. It's the brand right there. But yeah, for 14s to 18s. And it's pretty much plug and play. You just unplug these, replace it with the new extended one. Same thing goes for this side. Unplug them, replace. Or you can run the cables first, then I guess plug them in. It's preference, you know, whichever is easier for you guys. But yeah, pretty much straightforward. And when removing these too, you see has that, like those little ridges that lock into that spot like that when it's on the bar. So you pretty much just pry it back and it releases, as well as this side. So where is it at? Oh, there it is. So it's just right there. Same thing on this side, but yeah, just be mindful that way you don't tear the cable that goes to the circuit board right there, because then you end up getting some new switch housings. But yeah, so we're gonna get into it, install these, and we'll see where it goes from here. All right, so the left side's done. I went ahead and pulled that through, and what I did was couldn't find my chain, so yeah, it's pretty wide enough. So I figured I'd just use a shoestring and then pretty much just wrap it around your cable a couple times. You get like about this much, if so, and tape it on there. That way it's nice and snug, so when you do kind of feed it through, it just eases through. And then be patient, that way, you know, in case there are any burrs, they're supposed to be deburred, but in the case of something being in there where it gets snagged on or what have you, if you pull in too hard, you fuck some shit up. So just be patient, feed it through, and you'll be good. So like I said, I use a shoelace, and then my handy dandy compressor. We'll use my little air gun. So pretty much feed it through where it needs to go. I hit the air gun, blows the shoelace through, comes out through here. You just gently feed it through, and then yeah, before you know it, you get some cable coming through, and you're good to go. All right, so I pulled these through. I did have this disconnected just because it was a little bit easier because it's longer. But with that being said, I did offset the wires for the actual throttle as well as the switch housing, because you just don't want to have like a big ball of this in here, because then you'll never make the turns. And same thing, since there's 2 plugs on each, kind of push this back and offset this from this one, just so you can make those turns. It makes life a whole lot easier, as well as this. And then give yourself some space, you know. That's if they're this one's longer. In this case, this one is for the switch housing, so you're able to do that. But yeah, so offset these, and I use my shoelace. Pretty much have my shoelace on here. Get some electrical tape, put it all together, and then, you know, as long as it's snug, it pulls through. You shouldn't have any issues. And I also take off the factory cover that's on there. A lot of people, so-called experts, will say, oh, it's bad if you take it off, and you know, that's not really the case. I've done plenty of them, never really had an issue with throttle servos going out or what have you. And in this case, you know, for some people it's easier, they don't have a problem, but me, I don't like fighting, I like getting things done. So if I could take this off, make my life a little bit easier, and just wrap it with some tape, or even if you were able to depin these and use enough heat shrink, you're able to do that too. So it's preference at that point. I never had an issue with the tape. Other people might say something, but shit, to each his own. I actually had an electrician friend tell me that he doesn't even fucking cover it with anything. It's just in there raw just because it's covered, and saying same shit when they run cables and houses or what have you. Like I said, I'm no expert to that extent, but I will do it like this. I never had an issue with it. Works for me. You know, make your own decision. As long as you're neat with it, you shouldn't have any issues. But yeah, pulled through. Everything works pretty much. Hook these switch houses back together, and yeah, test fit them, make sure everything's working, and go from here. On here, I should remove the wrap now. I just had it so it wouldn't scratch and what have you. But yeah, they're on here now. I did put the polyurethane riser bushings on here. I just didn't record it because it required a whole bunch of other shit. Like, pretty much the front wheel came off. That's how I do it with my lift. So didn't feel the need to record assembling this, just more so the fact that how it comes off, how it goes right back on. But yeah, so once you throw pretty much everything back on, you're gonna wanna, these are not, they're snug, but they're not torqued down. And I'm not gonna put this on today just because tomorrow I'm waiting on dude to come by. He'll sit on it, pretty much be able to adjust it forward or backwards, you know, just so you can get a feel, because I'm completely different from him. So what feels cool to me might feel awkward to him. So yeah, we'll leave that just like that. But for the most part, everything went on cool. Still able to utilize your factory brake line as well as your clutch cable. And for the clutch cable, you just want to give it some more slack just by pulling it through. And then it does have these zip ties that attach to the risers, so you just want to go ahead and just cut those off, and that'll relieve some, give you some slack. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And these are fairly small, so nice and tight. I mean, the bike only has about 400 miles on it, so it's just like brand new. So they're on there, look sweet. It's a go.